When I sat down to play Signalis, I was expecting an experience similar to classic survival horror games like Resident Evil. Definitely after I played the demo back in June before the full release of the game. But what I walked away with was this game is so much more than a callback to those classic games. Signalis not only matches that formula perfectly, but it damn near perfects it. Minus some issues holding back some elements of the game, this is easily on my list of contenders for Game of the Year. Now at first glance the combat in Signalis will seem pretty standard. The enemies lumber around fairly slow and are easily dodgeable. You take them down with the same old pistol shotgun combo of weapons, and you say to yourself, okay, this is about what I expected. Then it all gets thrown into your face as the weapon and enemy variety expands, from being ambushed from creatures below the floor, enemies wielding shields to block your gunfire, and the insane mirage-like creatures that mess with your mind. You really feel engaged in the combat of Signalis, especially when these different types get all thrown at you at once, and you have to really think on your feet on how you want to attack the room or area you are in based on the enemies. Because the weapons are designed to be used in certain situations. Guns such as the SMG pistol might be great against your standard enemies, but something like the rifle can fire through shields, or the flare gun that not only drops enemies, but burns them as well, which is super useful since pretty much every enemy you fight in the game will resurrect over and over again, creating insane tension for the player since you don't know when they will pop back up. But like I said, bodies can be burned thanks to not only a flare gun, but also an item called the thermite flare, which is in short supply, so choose wisely on what bodies you burn. Then of course there are various other items that assist you as well throughout the game. You have stun prods that you can find to shock enemies at close range in combat. There are health items called repair patches and sprays that recover your health. And if you're bad at combat, you even have a health item called Auto Injector that resurrects you when you die, which was also very useful for item runs in rooms when I was trying to avoid enemies and just collect items. Unfortunately, that is where one of my biggest complaints of Signalis comes into play. You have a total of 6 item slots through the entire game, and it's very annoying. It's like you have a good variety of weapons and items that are fun to use, but I'm so hampered by the fact I feel like I have to plan ahead like 9 rooms. I spent half my time running through rooms to see what was all in them, then running back to the save room to plan how I want to tackle those 9 rooms in one go. It's like, well, I really want to bring this shotgun, but I'm only bringing my pistol this time so I have room for key items I need. It really does slog down the experience at times, instead of having this nice progression as you move through the game and have to occasionally run back to the storage box to store items or switch stuff out. You are spending half your time playing Inventory Simulator, and this gets even more frustrating at times in the rooms with no lights, because you have to bring a flashlight with you to do anything in these areas. So now you only have 5 slots. Well, you have 1 for a weapon, 1 for ammo, 1 for a key item. Now you got 2 slots left. What you gonna do with them? You sure you want to bring any health? You might need that slot for another key item. It's just crazy to me that this was even a design choice with no way of ever increasing your carrying capacity, like, other survival horror games tend to do. But enough about that. Let's talk about what was a good design choice. And that's the layout of the world. As you progress through the game, each area really feels unique in design. From your classic corridor navigation to traveling through various floors by ladder and elevator, using the flashlight to see in dark rooms, or monofilament fiber that will shred your body, Signalis absolutely kept me interested in how it weaves the world design with combat and puzzle solving, particularly in one of the early areas. You will drop down into a watery room that leads into a hall, while this hall leads into many different rooms with multiple key items. Now at first I was thinking this is lazy game design. Why would you put so many key items in one area? But then it clicked with me on how Signalis area progression works. Each main area has multiple items you need to collect to unlock these special doors. Well, you do that by running around solving various puzzles to collect them using other key items. And to a certain extent, you have some freedom in what order you do this. Now obviously there are some rooms you can't get into without doing certain tasks first, but Signalis almost gives this perception of an open world game in a small space, and I love everything about that. It's player freedom with a rail that's a blast to ride. And to aid in this ride, you actually have this little eye module that you use to take a picture of anything in the world, which is a clever way to aid players in puzzles. Need to memorize that pattern? Take a picture of it for a later reference. The only downside to it is the fact it takes up an item slot and you can only hold 6 pictures, which that second part isn't really a big deal to me, definitely when the puzzles are this fun to do. No joke, Signalis has amazing puzzle design. They are legitimately some of the best I've seen in any game. The variety keeps them fresh and you never feel like you are really treading over old ground with them. And one of the most clever aspects of Signalis that aids in this is the radio receiver your character picks up early in the game that aids in both puzzle solving and combat. From receiving codes that allow you to open various safes to protecting your mine in combat, the radio receiver becomes one of the most dynamic elements of Signalis, especially the significance it plays in the overall story of the game. Now, I'm not going to say I'm some expert on what's going on in the story because it's very confusing, but just know that everyone is a machine called a replica or a gestalt. They have different jobs they must do, and many of them have very unstable minds. Your character, who is a replica known as Elster, is searching for a partner who is a gestalt. Now, the way Signalis tells the story is pretty cool with the stylized classic retro cutscenes, eerie music, and interesting first-person moments that bring you into the world, which was probably some of my favorite points in the game, thanks to the art style that was used. Not to mention, depending on how you make your way through the game, there are multiple endings available to experience as a player. Take too much damage? You may get a bad ending. Are you efficiently killing enemies and not taking damage? Get a neutral ending. Discover some secrets in the game? Well, you just may get the best ending available, which is actually cool since this promotes replayability and it helps the player understand the overarching story. Also, even though I won't show it for spoiler's sakes, the final boss is a blast to play against, and I wish there were more bosses in the game like it, which leads to a mini complaint I have. There was one character in the story who really should have been a boss, and wasn't. Really disappointed by that. I have a feeling for anyone who plays the game, they will feel exactly the same way as me. Not a big deal breaker or anything like that because the game is so awesome, just a bit of a missed opportunity. But I do think it's safe to say, even though Signalis doesn't redefine survival horror in its 5 to 10 hour running time and its flawless performance, I might add, it's a love letter to all devs telling them that this genre still has so much untapped potential as long as you have the creativity to unleash it. And I personally want to say thank you to the devs from Rose Engine who made Signalis. This game is easily the best survival horror game of this year, and I don't think anything is going to take that away from it. Also, please make a sequel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Talk to y'all in the next video. Peace.